If you are stuck under 6 figures in your real estate business, this video is going to be for you. Now, if you're already making over 6 figures, this one's not for you. So I definitely recommend going and watching something else on the channel. But if you're still here watching, I have a simple 5-step process that I'm going to walk through that is going to help you get to your first 6 years in the business. Now, before I get into it, this is not a magic formula. There is no silver bullet here. This is going to be a structure or a framework for your business and your life to where you can get to your first 6 figures and then scale and grow from there. This is start to finish in real estate, where we talk about sales, marketing, and leadership for real estate agents just like you. My name is Christian Stubbs. I'm a team leader and owner of Onyx Homes, which is a real estate sales team based in Southern California. So I not only have done this as an individual and solo agent, I also run a team that has done $500 million in sales in just our first 4.5 years in the business, which I'm super proud of. So let's dive right in, and I'm going to talk about the 5 major things. Now, the biggest, most important thing here is wherever you're at in the business, you can always go back and go to these different steps. They don't necessarily happen in any particular order, but they're all the 5 most important things in the business. So step number 1 is your foundation. You don't need to have your entire foundation laid before you start, but it certainly doesn't hurt. These are the few things that I feel like you have to have a strong foundation before you start. Is you have to have a sales process that works. If you are brand new in the business and you don't have a sales process, the brokerage or team that you're on should have one. So my advice is for you is to find the sales process that they use that is proven to work and copy that. Now, we also have tons of different things on sales process. Again, we talk about sales, marketing, leadership. That's all we talk about here. So there are sales processes that absolutely work that are out there. So you want to make sure you have the process. You also want to make sure you have the scripts. You should not be going out there and doing whatever you think is the right thing to say. You want to learn from somebody who is ahead of you, who says, hey, say this when you're asking for a buyer strategy session. Say this when you're looking for a listing appointment. Whatever it is, there's no need to recreate the wheel in an industry where there's so much content out there. And again, the place you're working probably has something like this. This one might be a little bit controversial, but you have to have a CRM. You don't have to have one, but if you want to make multiple 6 figures, you are crazy to not have one. Again, your team or brokerage should be providing you with one. Hopefully they know how to use it. You at least need to have a system where you are plugging in all of your leads, you're taking detailed notes, hopefully you're tracking activity and bonus points if you're doing all of your communication through the CRM. We personally use Follow Up Boss for our CRM. I think it's the best, but use whatever is the best resource for you. And this is an easy pro tip, but my best advice for you wherever you're at is find the best team in your marketplace that does all this stuff for you, and then join that team as opposed to being totally on your own at a brokerage. I'm biased, but I run a real estate sales team, and an agent is way better off starting on my team than they are being out on their own for sure. So to recap here, you need to find a proven sales process that works. You have to have the sales scripts to go along with them. Learn those and master those. Have a CRM and use it. I can't emphasize this enough. I'll give you a quick story here, actually. I was talking to a good buddy of mine who is a real estate agent that does about $50 million a year worth of sales. He's a great real estate agent, but he's one of the more unorganized humans I've ever met. And I was talking to him while we were in an open house, and his phone rings, and Siri announces that Rob, the bald guy that's $4 million cash, is calling. And we're in an open house with 5 or 6 clients walking around, and everybody looks over like, yikes. And the reason that Siri announced that was the name he had this guy saved in on his phone, because he had no idea who these people are other than typing in Rob, price point, wherever they're looking in their title, which is crazy. It's what a CRM is for. And if you follow this strategy and this blueprint and you listen to the other videos on this channel, I can pretty much guarantee that you're going to be able to get to a point in your business where you are so busy that you meet somebody on Friday and you don't even remember who they are on Monday. Those are the most important things as far as the foundation goes for your real estate business. That was number 1. Next, I'm going to move on to number 2, which is finding your lead generation pillars of business. Something you're probably hearing all the time. You got to figure out where you're finding your leads from. Well, I'm going to make it very simple for you. You need 1 or 2. My advice is to have 1 that is sweat equity, and then the second one should have something to do with being tied to the phones. So let me explain what I mean. So when I say sweat equity, here's what I mean. Think of going out and doing open houses or door knocking or something that requires you to physically go out and do something. And most of the time, this is something you cannot do for all week long. Like, you can't do an open house for 8 hours a day. I mean, you can, might not be the best use of your time. So one is your sweat equity, and the other one is something to do with being on the phones. Now, if you say, Christian, I don't like being on the phones. Well, my response to you is, you are a salesperson, and it is really hard to be a salesperson without talking to people on the phone. I really hate to be the one to break it to you, but being on the phone can mean texting, emailing, whatever, but most of lead generation will happen on the phone, not texting or emailing. So if you have a phobia of the phone, I will just let you know that I've never seen an agent be super successful that doesn't talk a lot on the phone. I'll give you another story here. I talked to 2 agents that are at our brokerage, not on our team, but a part of our brokerage, and they're the 2 highest producing solo agents or individual agents at the brokerage, both doing between $1.5 and $2 million of net income per year. We got to, the 3 of us were talking at a table, and one of them said he tracks his minutes. He doesn't use a CRM, which is crazy, but he tracks his minutes on his phone bill, and the other one does as well too. And they had between 5,000 and 6,000 minutes a month on their phone. You can do the math. 5,000 or 6,000 minutes a month is a ton of hours. And just for reference here, 6,000 minutes on the phone is 100 hours per month on the phone. And if there's, let's say, 4 weeks in a month, that's 25 hours a month on the phone. So if you're working a 40-hour work week, that is half of their week they're on the phone. I can guarantee you they're working way more than 40 hours. So anyway, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but that is how important it is for you to be good on the phone. Now again, that's them talking to agents and vendors and clients and everything, but that's a lot of phone time. Now for sweat equity, I tried different things, but I landed on open houses. Open houses was something I did to grow my business. It's easy, it's free, it's something that's not super invasive. Like, a lot of people don't like door knocking because of safety aspects, because they don't feel like it's the right thing to do to go and knock on strangers' doors. I did it 3 doors and I hated it, but I loved open houses. So I got good at open houses and I got really good on the phones. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to do open houses on the weekend or whatever your sweat equity is on the weekend. Door knocking is probably better to do on the weekends when people are home versus during the week when people are at work. And then during the week, you can be on the phones. It's something that's a higher leverage activity. You can call 100 people before you could knock on 100 doors for sure. So that's the reason I say you should have 2 different like this. Now, if you're asking who should I call and what do I say to them, it's a totally different video. My point here is you need to try different pillars of business and find the sweat equity one and phone type of activity that you will actually do consistently to generate business. And when I say generate business, I mean to generate new leads you add to your CRM. Here's a huge pro tip around finding your pillars of business. I got 2 for you. First and foremost, social media is not a pillar of business. Now, before you go crazy, social media is an and, it is not an or. So it's not open houses and calling or social media. It is 2024 or 5 or whenever you're watching this. Social media is pretty much required. You can pretty much guarantee that if I'm going to hire you for $25,000, $10,000, $50,000, whatever it is, I'm going to look you up. And if you have no online marketing whatsoever, huge red flag. So you're going to find your pillars of business and do social media because it's important. I see a lot of agents that lean on, I'm going to post a video every single day, and they think somehow that's going to bring them so much business they don't have to prospect. Probably not going to happen. So I wouldn't set yourself up for failure in only doing this for lead generation. Also, pro tip number 2 here is that you should not be spending any meaningful amount of money before you make 6 figures in the business. I hate seeing agents that came from another brokerage or team that join ours, and they were told, just like I was, to go spend thousands of dollars on mailers and door drops and all kinds of other stuff, when that is some of the worst advice you could possibly give to somebody in your shoes who's making less than 6 figures. You have to spend money to make money is not true in real estate at all. Now, on that note, on another video, I'm going to talk about how to go from 100 to 500,000 in GCI. But for this video, we're talking about getting to our first 100. Don't spend a ton of money. All right, so that was number 2, is finding the pillar for lead generation. Number 3 should be no surprise, and this is actually doing the activities to generate leads. Now, let's break it down this way. There are 52 weeks in a year. Now, let's say you go on vacation, you take 2 full weeks off. So there's 50, which is also a nice round even number. My advice for you as an agent under 6 figures is to generate 5 new leads per week. Now let me go ahead and help define what a lead is. A lead is somebody who has given you their contact information with permission to contact them. I don't consider a lead where you went to your title officer or somebody and bought a list of everybody in the neighborhood. That's not a lead. A lead is somebody that says, hey Christian, yeah, here's my email, here's my information, add me to your newsletter. Or somebody that comes into an open house and wants to know what it looks like to work together moving forward. Those are leads. Somebody gave you willingly their contact information in exchange and you can contact them. So if there's 5 new leads you are generating through your pillars of business, so for me it was open houses, and every week I was generating 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leads from every open house, and during the week I was calling and making leads that way as well too. So as long as you're getting 5 new leads every single week over the span of a year of 50 weeks, you're gonna have 250 leads. Now, from my experience, a good to average real estate agent is gonna convert about 5% of all the leads you get. So if you have 250 leads and you convert at 5%, that means you're gonna do about 10 deals in a year. If you just go through and follow the sales process and use the sales scripts that we talked about in number 1, you should be somewhere around that 5% number. Now, in almost any market, those 10-ish deals are going to put you in the $100,000 mark, which is right where we want to be. And now we can talk about scaling. Now, you really have to make sure your foundation is solid. You want to make sure that you're generating leads, you're doing what you need to do with them, you're following the sales process, you're following the sales script, and you're organizing these in a CRM so you can stay organized with what's going on. 250 people is a lot of people. So you want to make sure you're organized. Now, here's another thing as well too, is we're going to move on to number 4, which is converting the now business. So we just talked about generating leads. This is you doing your open houses, your door knocking, your cold calling, your networking, your whatever your pillars of business are. Now we're going to talk about finding the now business because we need to make the $100,000. So we're going to go through and we're going to make sure we're following that sales process. Now, believe it or not, this is the easy part. I see way too often agents pulling people, trying to get them to do a deal when they're not quite ready yet. If you're following a sales process, you're making an offer to help people out. I'm not going to go into that in this video because it'll be way too long. But you are going to find people who actually do want to move now. And if your sales process is good and it works, and your sales scripting is good because you work on it, you're going to find people who will do deals with you now, and that's fantastic. Everybody else moves on to what's going to be step number 5, which is nurturing your forever business. Now, here's the reality and the boring part of sales is once you have a process that works, like for example, with our team, we have a very proven process of how to convert leads. This is the boring part, is you follow that process every single time with every single lead, and you do it at a high level. You do the basics at a high level consistently, and that is what leads to sales. So this is something where I see a lot of agents will learn the process, follow it, see success, and then stop following it, stop seeing success. This business is not rocket science. It is simple, but it's not easy. As a salesperson, you should be saying the same things over and over and over and over again, following the same process over and over and over again. This is what leads to success. Now, as a quick break from the video, if you do not love your sales process that you have from your team or your brokerage, or maybe you don't have one from either of those, I have one for you. You can go ahead and steal what we use at Onyx Homes that has led to over $500 million in sales. And I share this inside of our free community. So start to finish in real estate on School. You can go ahead and register totally for free, and all the training is in there. Go to onyxhomes.com/school. Once you join, head over to the classroom where you can see all the trainings, and the sales process is probably one of the most important ones. I update these all the time, so you get the free trainings, but you also get access to the community. We have 30 to 50 people joining every single week, so it's really cool to see this community growing. So if you want to join this group, go ahead and go to onyxhomes.com/school. Link's also going to be in the description down below. Let's get back into the video. All right, so we just talked about you converting the now business, which, believe it or not, is probably the easiest part of this entire thing. Lead generation is the hardest. Converting new leads is the easiest. Now, this is what's going to take the most willpower for you to go from the 100K that we're going to get to if you did everything up until this point. This next part is what's going to take you from 100,000 this year to 150 or 200 next year. and so on and so on, growing every single year. And this is following up and nurturing for the forever business. Now, earlier I mentioned about 5% of leads that you generate will actually do a deal. That's this year, not all time. So 5% of the leads that you generated last year or this year are going to do a deal this year. Probably another 2 or 3% of those leads that you generated last year are going to do a deal next year, and so on. So you want to make sure your sales process is filtering for everybody that wants to do a deal now, but it's also setting you up for success for the long-term nurture coming down the road. Here's my nurture process for our clients. We have 3 different buckets. We have past clients, which are people we've done a deal with, and we're going to contact them every 90 days forever. Our long-term nurture is a 60-day follow-up, and our nurture is a 30-day follow-up. I think there should be 2 different nurtures. One is really, really long, and one is kind of on the in-between long. So 30 days and 60 days for your nurtures and 90 days for your past clients. That is the simple process. Now, if you're asking, Christian, I don't know what to say when I follow up with these people. Well, it's because you're not setting crystal clear next steps, which we've talked about in a different video. But to wrap this up and make it simple for you, send something valuable to your database every single month. We send a newsletter every week to our entire database, and we send this to 12,000 people at least. We get 45% open rates, and we get responses and deals just from this newsletter every single year. But the most valuable ones, meaning the ones that get the highest open rate, the most clicks, and all of that stuff, are the monthly market updates. No different than when you run into somebody that you know, they know you're in real estate. What do they ask you? They ask, how's the market? So you just tell everybody always how the market is, because that's really what they are interested in. So every single month you send a monthly market update, and this is something that allows you, when you do your follow-up, you can use the easiest script in all of real estate, which is, did you get it? So I can call you up and I can say, hey, I just sent you over an email that I thought you'd find interesting. Did you get it? And they can say, you would say yes or no. And if you said yes, I'd say, great, what'd you think? And if you said no, I would solve the problem. Is it in your spam? Do I have the wrong email address? Well, what is it? Put it back at the top of their email and say, hey, this is what I had emailed you over. It was a market update. Do you mind me sharing with you what we see going on right now? And if you set the expectations, if you set the next steps, that you're going to talk to your nurtures and long-term nurtures every month or couple of months, that is what makes your follow-up so much easier. Here's your pro tip. Do not try to sell these people anything. If they are not ready to make a move, don't try to convince them to move. We're tricked into being salespeople as real estate agents, where we think we're supposed to sell people houses. I don't think we are at all. I look at it as we're consultants. We consult people through the home buying and selling process. Nothing I'm ever going to say to somebody is going to convince them to sell or buy. I'm just here to help them through the process and get them the best deal possible and protect them. So there's nothing I'm going to do that's going to pull this person to a deal. I see so many agents lose leads because they handle it that way. You do not want to lose a forever client because you tried to get them to do a deal right now. And if you can't tell, I'm tugging somebody closer to a deal and I'm pulling them down the funnel when they're not ready. So this is the simple 5 steps. It is setting your foundation, so getting your sales process, your scripts, your CRM, getting your foundation set. The second is testing and finding out what your pillars of lead generation are going to be. Try everything. I say, not even jokingly, this is the truth. I knocked on 3 doors. I hated it. I got stuck in an old lady's house for like 45 minutes and I said, I'm never doing this again. I cold called a little bit and then I found open houses, which was my thing. I loved open houses. And then I found I did actually like getting on the phones, but it took me a little while. The third thing is generating the leads themselves. So making sure whatever you're doing for your pillars, you're doing that at a high level. 4 is converting the now business, and 5 is following up forever. Go ahead and implement this into your business. Make sure you have all 5 of these things going. And if you like this video, first like and subscribe it. But I also have another video for you, which is the top 10 struggles for real estate agents. We surveyed all 60 of our agents and took from NAR what are real estate agents struggling with. And I gave my advice on the top 10 struggles. So if you want to watch that in the next video, I got it for you right here. Again, my name's Christian. I appreciate you watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.